My name is Lucy Richter, and I am a business management student at Kent State University.
Hi, my name is Ethaniel. I was in the institution for about 3 years, and I've been home for 2 years, almost 2 years. In the institution, it was like a little bit scary at first. You know, I was just turning 17, never been locked up ever a day in my life, so don't even know what's going on, what I'm getting myself into, or anything like that.
I grew up in a broken home. My parents being divorced affected me in a greater way than I realized at a young age. I was basically allowed to do whatever I wanted, and at the time that was a blessing, but it soon became a curse because I developed a deep habit of lying to my friends and family and manipulating situations and people to get what I wanted.
Honestly, I didn't even want friends. My main goal was to get home.
One night, I ended up at a party that I was not supposed to be at. The music was too loud and the cops were called, and as we decided we were leaving the party, we opened the doors to the police officers asking us to turn the music down. A few minutes later, I was arrested for underage drinking at 15 years old. I had no hope for myself or my future, and I was only 15, and I didn't know how I'd gotten myself here, and I didn't know how I was going to get myself out of it.
When I first met Captain Peg, a friend of mine had introduced me to them. Basically told me they had services on Wednesdays to come down and they would have food. So that was the main thing, to get down and get to the food. When I met Cap, he was basically explaining to me the story of what he went through, and we basically had the same kind of struggle. He was just telling me how he came to Christ and how God had made things better for him in his life, you know? So I'm thinking like, I ain't got nothing to lose.
I found out about Youth for Christ through my sister-in-law, Taylor. She referred me to Andy Rice, who works for Campus Life in Strongsville. At the youth group was where I ultimately came to know Christ. I kept coming back to youth group because of the community that I found there that I didn't have in my past friendships, and I didn't have it at home. I found unconditional love within the youth group.
Me and Cap first got the time to sit down. He was just basically explaining to me about Jesus, about just more information about the Bible that I didn't know. You know, I had a lot of questions at the time, so after the service was over, I went back to my room, you know, thought about it some more, then came back the next Wednesday, the following Wednesday.
Andy and Cindy had invited me to the Indians game that Youth for Christ was hosting. I recall actually listening to the words that were coming out of their mouths because I'd never been to a Youth for Christ event. And they shared the gospel, and they prompted a time for you to accept Christ into your own heart. And I remember feeling compelled to do that.
This time I wasn't there just for the food, I actually was there to hear the word. Now I'm at the point where it's either I'm going to walk with faith or I'm going to just continue the path I'm on. And the path I'm on led me here, so I had no other choice but to walk with faith.
I was half in, half out as a Christian and as a follower of Jesus because I was clinging to the old life that I used to live in hopes that I could live both at the same time. Through Youth for Christ and Andy and my friends and family that know me better than I know myself now, I understood the gospel very clearly. It wasn't overnight, but eventually I decided that giving up the world was a better option than giving up Jesus.
About 7 months ago, I got shot in my spine, paralyzed from the waist down. The big help is the Lord. Like, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing today without the Lord.
I was in a very dark place when I was in my early teens. If it weren't for Youth for Christ building up their staff to pour into students like me, I don't know if I ever would have found Jesus or when that would have been. And I don't like to think about that. And God knew that that was the only way that He was going to reach me.
Having Cap and Peggy in the institution was a big help. Dealing with Cap and Peggy, like, they really, really do care. Like, while I was in the institution, they was on me. I even came home, and I live an hour away, and they still on me. Like, while I was in the hospital, they came and visit. They done came to my home a couple times. Like, that's true love. That's real love right there.